Cheers, I do buckaroos. I'm the Whiskey Whisperer. I'm sitting in this nice little jazz lounge, and you see it snowing. It's not really, man. Anyway, just trying to create a mood. Just opened one that I hadn't had before. Riverset straight rye whiskey at 93 proof. I didn't realize I bought it on sale. I can't remember the retail on it. I believe it was like 35, something like that. But it rang up at 25, so I was okay with that. I wish I'd have bought two though if I'd have known that. Riverset, go against the current. B&R Distilling. They said that rye whiskey was way too harsh. They said that trying to make it smoother would only destroy its flavor. We didn't listen. Instead, we created the smoothest rye whiskey on the market, and we refused to compromise on flavor in the process. This is our rye rebellion with Riverset. You will never have to sacrifice flavor for drinkability again. Go against the current and push the limits with us. There's always more aboard this ship. It doesn't give me the mash bill. Unfortunately, I wish it did to tell me how much rye is actually in this. I'm curious. But again, it's 93 proof. I haven't had this before. It's the same folks that bring us Blue Note bourbon though. So, and I do like the Blue Note bourbon. I've got about 2.5 ounces neat here. Nice nose, nice and spicy. A lot of vanilla, but a little maple on the nose I'm picking up. Which I tend to get in bourbon a lot, but not necessarily rye. I am picking up some maple notes for sure. Wow, that's different, yeah. You definitely feel the rye. I don't know what they've done to make it smoother, if you will, but it is easy drinking, sure. I will tell you though, it's not as sweet as even some ryes that I've had recently, which is a selling point for me in all honesty. I think it would make a great Manhattan, which I'm going to do here shortly, but I want to have some neat here first. So I need to know what that base is like before making a Manhattan, you see. Big oaky, big woody finish. Mild spice. And let me take that back. Mild spice up front, but it does kind of linger and catch up. A little bit of cinnamon. You might find some allspice, maybe just a hint of ginger as well. Yeah, the more I let that sit at first, very mild. Oh, wait a minute. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. You got to wait for it, Tom. Anyway, I digress. Decided I'd go ahead and open something this week, and I've been finishing up stuff. I haven't been opening anything new in a while. I've been buying a lot of wine. I've been buying a lot of bourbon or whiskey. I've been buying a lot of wine lately, my wife and I. So I haven't been buying these. This I bought about a month ago. Actually, I bought it right after we got back from our anniversary trip. So actually, over a month, about 5 or 6 weeks when I picked this up. Boy, it's delicious. Yeah, it is rather mellow. It may not be the most nuanced rye I have. I want to admit that right up front, but it's very tasty. You do feel that rye, though. I'm going to tell you, you do feel it in a very nice way. And I personally love that big oaky, that big woody finish. that lingering spice that sort of sneaks up on you, that seems mild at first, but then kind of creeps up on you. I think it would lend itself well to a Manhattan, so I'm going to do one of those shortly. But I always like to go neat first. Sometimes I go rocks, but I think I'm going to forego rocks on this particular whiskey. Just do the neat and the Manhattan here. As we head towards the holidays, yeah, there's always folks that are going to get their knickers into us because somebody said holidays. Because there's more than one, right? You got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, but not everybody celebrates Christmas. Not everybody has to be a Christian. So far, we're a free country, or still, maybe. There are some folks that would like to change that, make us a theocracy, but let's hope we can fight those fascists. Happy Kwanzaa, happy Festivus, celebrate whatever you want to. Happy Hanukkah. I don't know why those have to be so militant. But, well, you didn't say Christmas. You didn't say Christmas. Well, there's more than one holiday than Christmas. You egocentric narcissist. I mean, look, folks, I'm a Christian, but I don't understand that militant nature of some that claim to be Christian but don't seem to know anything. You know, they've memorized 2 Bible passages that solidify their beliefs, but they know nothing else about the Bible. Hey, man, can't we all just get along? I mean, damn, everybody ought to be able to believe what they believe. Freedom of religion is what this country was founded on. I don't know why that is so hard for some to understand. That and separation of state, boy, church and state, I don't know why some folks have such an issue with that either. We are not a theocracy, folks. We were never meant to be. The Founding Fathers made sure of that, but we need to quit pretending that the Founding Fathers were perfect. They allowed slavery. They did a lot of bad things, so they might have had a good idea with the country, but let's not pretend they were perfect either. Boy, that's delicious. Bring it back, Tom. Yeah, you know what? It's kind of the way I do things. I kind of like talk a little bit, a little commentary. Riverset. Unfiltered. Small batch rye whiskey at 93 proof. I would love to find an uncut, unfiltered version of this. Yeah, I would love a cast strength of this. Like the cast strength of the Blue Note, which is just beautiful. But I would love to have a cast strength of that because I think it would be absolutely gorgeous. I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, pervert wisdom, all around good guy. Cheers. Cheers, I do buckaroos out of that car. Yeah, I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer. Who else would I be? I have a Manhattan or a version of, and I say a version of because it has my Manhattan modification, which is I'm using cream sherry in place of sweet vermouth. But other than that, it is a Manhattan, at least in spirit anyway. I am using some rye whiskey here, straight rye whiskey, Riverset rye whiskey. Unfiltered rye at 93 proof. It is a very nice rye. Go against the current. Straight rye whiskey. They said that rye whiskey was too harsh. They said that trying to make it smooth would only destroy its flavor. We didn't listen. Instead, we created the smoothest rye whiskey on the market and refused to compromise its flavor in the process. This is our rye rebellion. With Riverset, you will never have to sacrifice flavor for drinkability again. Go against the current and push the limits with us. There's always more aboard this ship. Cheers. I prefer to say slancha. So anyway, but they don't give me the mash bill. I wish they did. I'd like to know how much rye is actually in here. I did have some neat, so to try out the base whiskey first, I will tell you that it's not as sweet as a lot of ryes I've had recently. It is very spicy, it is very bold, but yet drinkable, as they say. So what I've got in here is 2.5 ounces of the rye. I've got an ounce of the cream sherry. I've got a few dashes of some cherry bitters. And as you can see, a dark cherry on the bottom. I am using the Collins Amarena cherries for this particular cocktail. Served straight up, as you can see, which means it's chilled with no ice left in the glass. I do the stirred, not shaken method, but you can do whatever you please. Doesn't make that much difference either. The truth is, I think you got to do whichever one works better for you. But I have a certain method I like to use, so I do it that way. It's really that simple. I don't know that one way is any better than the other. It's all about preference. I gotta tell you though, this rye in here makes one of the very best Manhattans I've ever had in my life, and I've used more expensive ryes or whiskeys, different mixes, but I think this rye, when I tasted this rye, I thought it really lent itself well to a Manhattan because it wasn't as sweet as a lot of ryes that I've had recently. So I thought the big oakiness of it would really lend itself well. As you can see, I was magically transported here. My cameraman is great, isn't he? My cameraman, oh my gosh, how he does that, I don't know. Anyways, I digress. I'm losing my marbles, man. It's been a tough weekend, but I'm trying to bounce back. I've really tried. You have no idea how hard I've tried here. But it's all. I decided I just start drinking because not drinking wasn't making me feel better. Anyway, I wanted to have one Manhattan with this particular whiskey because I was curious, especially after having it neat. I thought, oh my, yeah, and I got to tell you, it really lends itself well because it isn't as sweet as a lot of whiskeys you might use for this application. Because I'm using the cream sherry in place of sweet vermouth, the sweetness is really brought in by that cream sherry. And I still feel the oaky, the big oaky notes of the rye, the big spice notes of the rye. You know, I'm not really in a speakeasy, right? Yeah, we figured out when the scenery changed, Tom. We may be drunks, but we're not idiots. Anyways. Oh, my place is smelling good, though. My pub is smelling good. I've got some stew cooking in the oven, man. I need to get to the store this morning because I didn't have anything for breakfast, so I ran to the store this morning. Picked up some bacon, some sausage, but I went to Harder House, which is, they started out as a meat market, but now they're a grocery store. Their meat is better than most in town. They do a lot of choice and prime products where a lot of the other stores don't. And I find that their stew meat is trimmed better than everybody else's in town. So I picked up sometimes I'll buy a chuck roast and cut my own, but this time I kind of cheated. Because we did truck roast last week, and that was brilliant because we had the meal for the truck roast. We had some hot beef sandwiches. Then I turned some into some beef barley soup. But it chilled down today, so I thought, man, it feels like stew weather. I didn't go out there intentionally buying beef stew meat, but when I saw it there, it looked really good, so I picked up some. Picked up a pound, actually a 1.1 pound. Butcher had a heavy hand. No, he didn't put it on there. He said, "You want me to take some off?" I said, "Hell no, it's going to get ate. It's going into some stew. It's going to be a bigger pot now." I tell you what, but it comes in big chunks. I trimmed it down just a little bit. I didn't trim it. Let me say, I cut it down a little bit. So there were smaller chunks of beef. Put a lot of veg in there. Had some carrots, some potatoes, some celery, but I did buy a package of frozen pearl onions because I love pearl onions in a beef stew. Because that's how my dad used to make it when I was a kid. So that's my thing. I love those little pearl onions. I always loved those as a kid. That's the thing that makes beef stew for me. And you see, I did it again. That cameraman is genius, isn't he? He just kind of changes the angle. Oh man, the man's brilliant. Especially for what I pay him. Anyways, I digress. Anyways, I got some beef stew cooking. As I finish my cocktail, take a little pause for the cause after this because I feel myself getting a little, I get a little giddy anyway. Anyway, there's a fine line, right? It's a fine line between giddy and depressed. You gotta walk that line. You gotta walk that line, man. You go too far. You gotta walk. You gotta get it right to the right place. I gotta be honest with you though. This particular rye. Let me show you this bottle again. So I've used a lot of different ryes to make a cocktail. Some people, you know, the thing is, a lot of folks think the more expensive the whiskey, the better it is. Or not every whiskey is suited for every application, right? Some, especially the more expensive whiskeys, are best suited for neat drinking. They just are. They're not best suited for cocktails. This is a moderately priced. Runs about $35, but I found it on sale for $25. The thing of it is I didn't realize it was on sale for $25 until it ran up at $25. I thought I was buying it for about $35. But anyway, that's a story for another day. But anyway. No, it's not. I pretty much told you the whole story there, but but yeah. So a lot of folks don't realize that. They think that, you know, you want a cocktail, you use this, but not every whiskey is best for you. Your best drink, your best neat drinking whiskey isn't necessarily your best Manhattan whiskey, or whatever cocktail you happen to be making, an old fashioned. And that's something you've got to figure out for you. I got to tell you though, the flavors, the aromas, the way this blends with the other ingredients I have here, this is a perfect Manhattan whiskey, especially at 93 proof. I've gotten to where I'm not a fan of anything 80 proof anymore, to be honest with you. I like 90 and above, especially if I'm making a Manhattan or an old fashioned. Otherwise, it feels kind of watered down to me. Anyway, straight rye whiskey, Riverset, unfiltered, crafted in Memphis, and I do love an unfiltered whiskey. I gotta tell you, the older I get, the more I love the unfiltered. So let me show you this one more time as I wrap up this video. I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all right, good guy. Cheers.